All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're talking about the Cincinnati Bengals in tonight's video. 16-10 home loss against, the New England Patriots with Jacoby Brissett, rookie head coach Rob Mayo. It was a terrible football game, but keep in mind, slow starts, it's just the actual reoccurring common theme under Zach Taylor. The Bengals fell to 1-10 in their first two games of the season with him as the head coach. Could not believe that was an actual statistic. But folks, we're going to get into the nitty gritty, the meat and potatoes of this video in just a second. Cincinnati will be just fine. They will be just fine. It did look like a team that was very disorganized. The statistics are not good. The eye test was not good, but it's still Joe Burrow. I get it after one football game. What if you regressed? What if that wrist injury is lingering? This has nothing to do with contract holdouts. This has nothing to do with injuries. I watched a ton of football yesterday. I'm sure you guys did as well, but I didn't get to this Bengals game until earlier, or actually like a couple hours ago. I watched so much football yesterday. It was so bad. League-wide, folks, I mean, it was terrible. There were maybe a handful of football teams that had a good half, but almost every single team or every game I watched outside of like the primetime Thursday night, Friday night football, Sunday night, it was that bad. Teams were just decimated. And this is what happens when you go from 4 preseason games to 3 and you extend it from 16 to 17. Now, obviously, there's a lot more at hand here, or a lot more info to digest in regards to the Bengals loss, but we're going to get to that. But before we do, if you guys enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. I don't care that the Bengals are 0-1. We're still going to be pumping these Bengals videos out all season because they have one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League in Joe Burrow. If we could try and get this video to 100 likes, folks, that would mean the absolute world to me. So, a lot of football was watched yesterday. Turnovers, to me, are the reason the Cincinnati Bengals lost this football game. It was not defense. It was not rush defense. It wasn't even necessarily O-line issues, which everything I just mentioned certainly played a role and a big factor. But that goal line fumble at the end of the first half from Tanner Hudson, that cannot happen in any way, shape, or form. If he had scored that touchdown, he fumbled on, I believe, the 1-yard line, max the 2-yard line. That would have been the first touchdown in the first half of an opener for the first time since 2021 for the Cincinnati Bengals. How is that a real statistic? This is a team that was in the Super Bowl recently. This is a team that's been in the AFC Championship recently. They have not scored a touchdown in the first half of an opener since 2021. Now, once again, like we alluded to in the beginning of this video, don't freak out. The Bengals have been in this situation multiple times. 3 years ago, they went on, or actually, the Super Bowl 3 years ago and the AFC Championship game. 1-1 start 2 years ago when they reached that conference championship game that I just mentioned. 0-2 start. So they've been here before, but the meat and potatoes of Joe Burrow's game specifically was not good. I also don't necessarily think it was a well-called football game as far as coordination and just play calling goes, but what the hell do I know, honestly? Joe Burrow finished 21-29, but the issue was 6 passes, and by the way, only threw for 164 yards, and T. Higgins did not participate in today's game. 6 passes were thrown more than 7 yards down the field. A lot of those were on 3rd down. So Joe Burrow dropped back on 3rd and long, which is technically 5+ yards to go 7 times, all right? That's where Joe Burrow makes his money. That's his bread and butter. Only 2 of the 7 plays were successful. Now, obviously, not all of that is on Joe Burrow, but that's not going to last a very long time. In fact, I would assume, I think you guys have a matchup in Arrowhead next week. I would assume that ends week 2 immediately. That quote he said, I think that was from the 2021 season where he was like, fuck, not supposed to say that. People get mad in the comments. F it, Jamar Chase is down there somewhere. All right, so even worse statistics with Joe Burrow. Just 1 of the 6 throws made out behind the sticks. That was one of them due to Joe Burrow just scrambling into wide open space, and he held it all the way to the sideline, and then he hit Yoshivas for a 12-yard first down. It was bad. It really was bad. 8.5 point underdog. Fumbled at the 1-yard line. Charlie Jones, I believe, Right when halftime broke, you guys held New England right away. I think it was a 3rd and out. They maybe got one first down, but it was essentially a 3rd and out, and Charlie Jones fumbled the punt return. I mean, that stuff just cannot happen. That's a 10-point swing right there, and that right there, that alone is why the Cincinnati Bengals, in my opinion, lost that football game. Now, in general, it was a really bad offensive day. They did not have their first down until midway through the second quarter. They had one touchdown the entire game. Now, defensively, it wasn't perfect, but folks, they only gave up 290 total yards of offense. All right, they were dominated by possession. We'll get into the rushing in just a second, but the defense missed way too many tackles. And once again, it's week 1 of the regular season. So many, because it's a 3 preseason game and you have 17 regular season games, a lot of coaches don't play starters, or if you do, it's for a drive or two. Guys are going to be gassed. We saw it right away. Thursday Night Football, Baltimore Ravens against Kansas City Chiefs. If you go back, you watch that last drive where Baltimore likely almost had the touchdown. You go back to that, the whole Chiefs defense was absolutely gassed. So when you are in week 1 of the regular season and you don't have game stamina and you're on the field the whole freaking game because your offense doesn't have a first down since halfway through the second quarter, like, you're going to be gassed. The defense missed way too many tackles, but the loss is definitely not on them. I get it. They allowed 170 yards rushing, but once again, stamina is a huge factor here. And speaking of running, I need to see more rushes against the Kansas City Chiefs next Sunday, because you bring in Zach Moss, you still have Chase Brown. One drive was perfect. It was the only touchdown of the entire game for Cincinnati. Moss had 4 carries for 33 yards, including that 5-yard touchdown, and Brown had an 8-yard run. Outside of that, they combined to carry 7 times for 14 yards, and they didn't log a single carry on the 2 drives after that. So we look at total statistics. Cincinnati, 16 rushing attempts, 70 total yards, 4.4 yards per carry. You cannot have 70 yards rushing game and expect to win that football, especially if you're losing the turnover battle. Zach Moss is a stud. I'm telling you, Zach Moss is a stud. 9 carries, 44 yards, 4.9 yards per carry. If you're averaging 4.9 yards per carry, you need more than 9 attempts, all right? Joe Burrow was actually the second leading rusher on the Cincinnati Bengals, and it's not like this team was down 16-0 after the first quarter, and it's Madden, and it's 5-minute quarters with accelerated clock at 20 seconds. No, you're down 10-0 at halftime, and that final 3 points to get it from 7 to 10, that was at the expiring. That was while the second half was expiring. So I need to see way more running involvement. Obviously, T. Higgins will be back hopefully soon. And Jamar Chase, this is what happens when you don't practice in training camp. It's going to take some time. And unfortunately for my Bengals fans watching this video, you're well aware of that fact, because the 1 in 10 since Zach Taylor has gotten into town, I cannot believe that's a real statistic. This is still an easy 10-win team. They will bounce back. I'll call the upset right here, right now, over Kansas City, in Kansas City at Arrowhead next week. But folks, we'll get another Bengals video out before then. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content, and vent if you have to down below. But let's try and see some positivity. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great week. We'll see you soon.